I feel like before I set up the film, I should mention
Ah,
to any of the listeners might be some discussion about sexual assault and sexual violence and
yep.
anything of graphic nature. So if you do not want to hear about this or witness it or anything, watch another episode.
Yeah.
Watch
Come
the
back
Saw
next
episode.
Friday.
We watched Red Spirit Lake by Charles Pinion. He
Mm-hmm.
This is from 1993, and the synopsis of the film goes something like this. After a vengeful sorceress is tortured and killed by a corrupt industrialist looking to harness the spectral powers of Red Spirit Lake, her niece arrives in the snow-covered Angel Falls, the settler aunt's estate. So, this is a
Pretty cool premise.
underground film. Uh, this is This is all shot on video too.
Yeah.
So we get that nice grainy quality, which
Mm-hmm.
I think adds a lot and pretty much gives it its no, not it's not its main. I think there's a lot to get into, but it's its main. I'd say it's a good cover
Mm-hmm.
for the backdrop of everything that happens within this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I have watched one other film from Charles Pinion, which was another shot-on-video film called Twisted Issues, which I was a big fan of. Uh, what I believe this is your first time watching this, or is
This
this
is
your
my
first?
first time watching Red Spirit Lake. This is the first time I've heard about this director, Charles. What's his last name? I'm sorry.
Pinion.
Pinion. First
Charles
time I've
Pinion.
ever seen any of his work. I think I had a rough idea what it was going to be like going in. Like all these movies, you do a great job of setting me up and saying, "Hey, like, look, just a heads up, this is going to be a little freaky." Uh, to me, because I'm not as
Yeah.
like versed in this type of content in terms of I'm more
I'd
Western
say
world.
this is Yeah, I say this would be a pretty freaky for anyone.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think it's a it's it's interesting. It's a shock value was the thing that got me the most initially. I mean, that opening scene is I already knew based off that opening scene this is going to be wild.
Yeah,
Where they're interrogating that woman. Um, and then something which I wrote down is really interesting. The studio credits before the movie. I guess it's something weird.
yeah. Did you watch the version which
You
had like
sent, yeah,
the Curious Case of Doctor Hump and stuff? I think
yeah. Is
this
that
is big.
like the studio's other work?
Well, I'm from what I gather, this was the Vinegar Syndrome release, which I think these are just other films that uh, they have.
Okay, they were
I
all
don't
in the same
this.
sort of genre of
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's like underground, some like New York underground films. This,
Mm,
I think, this isn't from New York, but
no.
one could infer that it is part of that scene
Okay.
because Richard Kern is in this. For those familiar with Richard Kern,
Hmm. Hmm. So yeah, I think I enjoyed it to the most part. I thought the act again, like all these movies you've shown me so far, the acting was really good.
yeah,
Performance is really good. I love Thomas and his brother. I think they're like
yeah.
the funniest guys. Especially the brother whose name escapes me.
Is
Um,
that the fellow who what I took away was mainly think about was him, the one who
Jerkin,
masturbated.
Yeah, the one jerking at the window. Yeah, him. I
that
thought
is
he was
played.
especially good.
That's played by Charles Pinion himself.
That's the
Fun.
director.
Yep, that is Charles.
Of course it is. Love that for him. Um, but yeah, I think I enjoyed it. I don't think it's one I'll revisit. I
I
don't think it's
mean,
one that I will recommend to anyone, respectfully, just because I think it is that sort of thing where you need to understand what you're getting into. Um, I like the story. I think it's a cool concept, like the idea of like a property being haunted, but someone wants to buy it, like for greedy gains. There's a lot in here to digest. There's also a lot to like be triggered by. There's a lot in here that's like you think it's going where it's going, and it goes there, and it doesn't kind of shy away from that. For lack of a, that's the vague as I can be in terms of the what you mentioned at the start with like essay and stuff. Um, yeah. So, but overall, I enjoyed the experience. of watching it. I wouldn't say it was terrible. I wouldn't say it was best movie I've seen this year. Um, it made me feel a lot of things.
Yeah, it's
Is the way I would say it.
I found it a very overwhelming experience, but it's an experience I think. Well, I'll get straight to the point. I think I do love this movie a lot. I think it's very good. Second time round, I felt myself. I think whether it's just me being particularly tired today, but I just felt myself like being lost in like the dreamy nature of it
Mm,
all. Because they had this like droning score for a lot of
yeah,
these scenes, and it would just be like, "Wah,"
yeah,
and mix that with like the snowy backdrop and how like rough SOV looks. It gives it like a dreamy like
yeah.
visual.
And yeah, like you said, like audio as well. They'll have these like really loud moments, hard cut,
Yeah,
and it adds to that dream element because it's like fucking volume, and it's like no hard
yeah,
cut. Something's not
yeah.
going on.
Whether or not,
Um,
sorry,
no, go on.
yeah, whether or not this was the desired effect, I found myself kind of not, I guess not like being plotted into the story, but more like floating along with what was happening,
Yeah.
which I think is a pretty good experience to have with certain, with anything
Mm-hmm.
really. It was a really interesting just way to watch it, especially in the second time around. I think the first time around I was just like so overcome with, of course, the shocking imagery. It's particularly there was
Yeah.
this the scene where Mr. Sardonia is being haunted by this the witch, and she proceeds to tell him to castrate
Mm,
himself, and
that was intense.
that I did not expect it to be so full on, and I think it's quite impressive the
It
visual
looks
effects that they
bit too
used.
real.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
insanely real.
it was a bit too real. Yeah, I really thought that was. I think watching it a second time around, I think you'll be able to digest it more because I think you get a bit like a hangover for each scene in this movie. Like you said, you're like you're going through it like a dream, and then you get to like something really chaotic like that castration scene, and then you're into something else, but you still feel that hangover of what you've just saw. And the film's
Yeah,
just like a lot of those moments.
yeah,
For me, it was like there's like this really crazy thing happens, and now there's a little bit of dialogue, but here's another crazy thing, and you're kind of cascading these like you said, like you're having a fever dream of all these different
yeah,
events happening, and
yeah.
tonally it kind of felt the same. Like there was like moments of levity, there was jokes, I guess, but it was all kind of the same uh like pitch throughout.
Yeah,
Um
I wouldn't say this film is completely bleak. I think they do get quite funny with this, and I
it
don't
is
know, some of
funny.
the stuff is just so like ridiculous.
I was
Uh,
howling at the bit where the woman I don't know if she died and she came back and she like it's when she gives the guy a prostate exam.
yeah, yeah, she died and then she like got
Come back.
resurrected.
Yeah, I figured that was it. That shit's funny, man.
That was hilarious. It was like a bit of a revenge from a scene
Yeah,
earlier.
I like that.
That
Yeah,
was,
it was
that
a
was
complete revenge arc. That was funny, dude. I was like, she's gonna do it, and then she did it, and then she went even deeper with the fuck when she was just like, bah,
yeah,
bah,
It's
bah.
just when you think it's like going to like calm down, it'll take you
Yeah,
somewhere
it'll
further
take you. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
to a
yeah.
point of absurdity. And it was just really good.
Very
Uh,
absurd.
the funniest scene to me was I guess it was a scene in the sauna with this blonde fellow. It was I call it
Mm.
the phantom fellatio scene because because he's getting, I guess, this witch is, for lack of a better term, forcefully
Getting him off.
yeah, getting him off. And in the beginning he says, and I quote, "You're disturbing my subtle energy field."
I wrote that. Hold on. Yeah, I wrote a line. He said, "Be gone, Jezebel."
She at this point she has put her legs or put her
Yeah,
uh, vagina
crushing him.
on his face, and he is suffocating. He's, I guess, suffocating her.
Suffocated him. Be gone, Jezebel.
Pushes her off, but when he pushes her off, you don't see her get pushed off because it's like, I guess she's like not there. So he's just like
Yeah.
flailing his arms, and he's like, "Be gone, Jezebel."
He was funny, dude. Because
It was,
when he gets introduced, I was like, he's pretty nonchalant, kind of cool guy. And then that sauna scene, what a way to
yeah,
die though! Fucking hell.
man. There's probably worse ways to go, I suppose, but that's it's brutal.
Well, burning alive in a sauna is probably up there, right?
Yeah, yeah, but I guess yeah.
Um,
No, that's an awful way to go. I'm sorry. I think my
um,
mind was on the subtle energy
yeah,
field
yeah,
getting
yeah. Like
getting
subtle
destroyed.
energy field.
And the scene before, he's like gallivanting in the snow and he's completely naked and this is like a real snowy place. How
Yeah, yeah.
cold this must have been. How horrible this must have been to film.
It's because it's energy fields, bro. It's crazy.
This is yeah. This isn't like pure misery and violence. It's a funny movie. I think even when the scene where Charles Pinion's character is straight up, I guess, jorking it.
That's a funny scene, dude.
He's like doing this.
He's doing like aerobics, right? And he's at the
Yeah,
window just one handing the experience.
and he's doing the speech about like demons are coming, demons
Oh,
are
I write
coming.
that down, dude. Where did I write that? Yeah, I feel the demons.
This is like I think pretty much off this like the whole satanic panic thing, like
Yeah,
Christian conservative families. This is what I imagine they were thinking
yeah.
would like listening to heavy metal does back
Mm-hmm.
in like the 90s or 80s or whenever the
One
big boom was.
thousand
That
percent, dude. I guarantee that's like this is the manifestation of all those fears.
yeah, I was
Um,
like, oh man, that's on the nose. He's speaking to something. I also really enjoy it that whenever something bad was happening, they'd go to like a fisheye lens, and this is like
yeah,
the key that something fucked up will happen.
it did get really wide angle when stuff was going down.
Yeah.
Um, I put this is like a Neil Breen movie, but well acted.
Oh, I can see the parallels. It's Neil
There was a
Breen, but
couple
with
of
like
lines where I was like, "It's very Neil Breen pill," and it was that sauna scene where he's like, "Oh no, my energy feels. What?
yeah,
What are you doing? Whoa!" You know what I mean? Um, it was really funny. I kind of lost the plot a little bit in terms of like what the story was. I got
yeah,
I kind of lost it in the midsection. I was like, wait,
yeah. I
who's
even
winning?
I think it was I think the witches won in the end, but at the
Yeah.
price was dire. And this is obvious. I did get lost in the. I think it was just I just got trapped in the dream. Like energy
Mm.
fields, the energy fields got me, and It was like I was floating along with it, and it was hard. I don't know. I couldn't really get down and be like, oh my god, let me analyze this because this is like I don't know. It was like I was high.
Yeah,
I was
no, it
watching
does. It
this.
does. And I remember when it finished, I was like sitting there for a minute, like, the fuck just happened? Like, it was,
This,
it messed me up a little bit.
yeah, it's
But I don't know. Again, like you said, I'm coming off a late night. We're both coming off a late night from yesterday, so I don't know if we're both just like
maybe
the
this is
wrong frame of mind to be watching this movie.
I think it's the right frame of mind. I don't know.
Mm.
This feels like the type of thing you need to watch after you've had a night of hedonism, as they
Mm.
say. Which the hedonism was having two beers.
Yeah, 2 beers and a 2 a.m. bedtime,
Yeah, which
and it's messed me
ooh,
up, bro.
ooh. But yeah, uh, the demon speech was very good, and also like Thomas
Uh,
when he squashed the brain of one of the goons. Disgusting
mm,
looking goo, man. A lot of
yeah.
disgusting like goo. Even the peen. I remember when like I think Madeline, the main girl, I think her name is Madeline.
Hmm.
She passes out. She has this dream where she's getting chased by this man. And he's
Oh yeah,
about to get his penis out, but it's like this tail that flings all out.
yeah,
Wild,
yeah.
wild.
Hmm.
Uh, what was I gonna say? What do you have to add? What did you make of it? How was your entire experience with this?
I liked it. I just don't know if it's like something for me felt off. I think it was way too horny for me, respectfully.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it was a
this
very
the
horny movie,
there's erotica here.
but also think that's I also think that's an exposure thing. This is like new for me, right? I don't see this sort of thing in the movies I watch on the daily, right? Or like
No.
this is like a handful of movies I've seen this level of detail, like in terms of nudity, but also like the subject matter to do with that. You know, from
Yeah,
that like Western Hollywood mindset a little bit, which is why we're doing this so I can break out a bit. because I guess movies that I tend to watch are like trained me to be like you cut away at certain things, or you imply certain things, like you show something else. Do you know what I mean? Um, but yeah, I mean, just checking my notes, I wrote a couple of things about how the opening scene, the torture scene at the start. Um, Crazy that there's smooth jazz playing over that, dude.
it's
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 like
it's
this like the most finger like
yes,
levels
and
of jazz, dude, and then the most horrific torture. I was like, what is going on?
hey, that's juxtaposition, my friend.
Yeah, it was pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie. And then there was a scene. I can't remember the context, but like I wrote on my notes. The slow mo crotch grab was pretty mad.
Oh god, I did write that. It was like menacing grabs your his junk.
So the note under that I put is when his like the main business guy's lackey comes to the house for the first time. Like the bald guy, the guy that has a really funny scream when he finds the man in the sauna. When he first comes to the house, he's like, bangs on the door, and she's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm harmless."
Dude, that dude is my favorite person in this
He
movie.
says, "I'm harmless," and it smash cuts to him opening the door.
Yeah, he says he's wearing this like dumb little Christmas hat, bold as you can be.
Yeah,
Like, this is the
he's
most
like,
evil looking lawyer ever.
"I'm harmless." He's like,
He's like,
"Well, I'm like, dude, you're not given that right now."
he's like, it's a perfect casting, perfect casting. He
Yeah,
looked
it
such
was
a
actually.
sleazebag. He
Mm-hmm.
was like, I couldn't take my eyes off him and everything he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
When he starts screaming later and he's covered in blood.
Dude, so funny. His screams are iconic, like the sauna and then the blood to it. Ah! And then so then moving down my list, that's when we get introduced after that to Thomas and his brother, who I now know as the director, which is pretty cool. I think it's his brother or his friend.
Yes, brother.
I think I don't know if I just like zoned out or like checked my phone or something, but am I right in thinking that they are like holy bounty hunter protector people, and their job is to keep the demons out with the key, which is on Thomas's head?
Yes, I believe
Which
that is
later on
what
in
they
the
are.
movie, Thomas dies, and the key is unlocked, so the
Yeah,
demons come out.
yeah.
Okay.
Which they give you a nice little a flashback to these spray painted like angels, silver spray painted, which is very
Yeah.
slapstick. I love this a lot. I guess
Yeah, and
get
then
them getting there.
that confused me because there's this bit where Thomas is in the bathroom and is like he's oozing.
Yeah, he's losing.
Why is he oozing? And then it doesn't come back. Is that like a dream or just like
I think that was just a sign that things are gonna get fucked up.
demons are
The
coming?
the energy field. So,
Yeah,
he's oozing.
exactly.
There's a lot of oozing in this. There's a lot of like
Yeah, a lot of oozing, a lot of
this.
fluids.
Yeah, a
It's
lot
a
of
very
like
sweaty
facial.
movie. A lot of sweat.
Oh man, it's so sweaty.
Um,
Uncomfortably so.
yeah. And then then the next note on my list is I haven't wrote any notes in a while because I'm pretty lost. I think that's when shit starts getting wild.
Yeah.
And then it's the stroking scene.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I feel the demons.
They got this like cheesy like '80s rock metal playing, and she's like doing her exercises. I
And
don't.
it's like a comedy how she discovers him, dude. She like
Yeah,
bends over and looks in between her legs and sees
yeah.
him. Oh, and he's at the window like, oh,
It's like screwball comedy type, right?
yeah.
She's like,
Maybe
oh,
I've
why don't
seen
you
that
buy
scene in
some?
an American Pie movie, dude. Do you know what I mean?
And she's like, oh, why do you go buy some pornography?
And he's like running away.
Oh, there was like a.
Oh,
Then I think like a bit after this, they have this really like cool scene where it's like a montage of these lesbian witches just hanging out. It's like
yeah. And
lovely
then that
music
guy
playing.
shows up and kills them.
Yeah, I thought that scene was amazing. I thought, oh man, this is like a nice reprieve from brutality,
Bit of
and then it
peace.
ends.
Yeah.
Then it ends in like a bloodshed.
Bloodshed. Yeah.
But they have another scene before the sauna thing where it's like this witch who's like naked, just prancing around the field, and they have this like jaunty musical element to it. And I was like, this is like Charlie Chaplin. This is like a Charlie Chaplin era type thing. I really fucked with it.
Yeah.
I
That
have
was
to.
true, actually. Yeah.
I really appreciate how experimental this got. It like it's weaved and waved in many different ways.
Mm.
Where I think in the hands of a lesser director, you would have got a pretty
Mm,
like not to disrespect. I mean, I don't know, just like a pure sexual torture film.
right.
And I think I'm glad it was like how this was because
Yeah,
if it
like it
wasn't,
was
I would
like
not have liked it very
for
much.
all the gratuitousness, for all of
Gratuitousness.
that, it was like very well made, very stylish.
Yeah,
You could just tell that the vision was completed. Like everything about this movie was like, yeah, this is exactly how I wanted this to look. This is like from his brain. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like the framing of everything and the angles and the music. It was like, yeah, this is like one man. I don't know if there's another writer or whatever, but this is like what this is his single vision.
yeah, and
And on one side of the camp you get this, but then you also sometimes get like Megalopolis, where it's like maybe we shouldn't let someone have 100% vision. But sometimes you get this where it's like, man, it's not for everyone, but it's his vision and it's uncompromising in that way. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, and it looks like everyone in this seems so on board with what he's
Yeah,
going
and
for.
they have to be because of what's happening.
Yeah, and I don't
Trying to
know.
get these actors to do these things is like they must believe in the
Yeah,
work. Do you
and
know what I mean?
when everyone believes in something, sometimes beautiful things happen.
Yeah, and and it was really it's a beautiful film in that sort of. If you look at it through that lens, like it is,
Yeah,
special.
it's a very good expression of
And
low budget,
do you know the
independent.
last film I can tell you that I had this same feeling with was Pinocchio.
That makes sense.
Do
I
you know what I
do. I
mean? It was
Yeah.
like
There's
the vision was clear.
yeah.
There
This
was
they
no
both
compromise there. Do you know what I mean?
yeah they both have this DIY element,
Yeah.
which gives it a lot of charm
Hmm.
in and amongst pretty ambitious vision of what they want to do, and it's
Yeah.
kind of been easy to craft.
No, it's also one. It's like how many room like outside of the house, the fields, a couple of rooms in the house. Like you've only got like three sets you're playing in,
Yeah.
and they managed to make it work. I thought the friends coming to visit was really funny.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was
Um,
sick, man.
and when she gets out the car, she's like, "I brought you something," and it's a guy.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's a
He's like,
dude.
he's like, "I know you're lonely, so I brought you something." And you're like, "Oh, this is sweet. Oh, it's a human being,
It's cute.
an uninvited plus one. That's crazy. That's crazy."
You wouldn't let any of your friends bring like a human being as like a present.
But it's
I
weird. Like
mean,
you would just give him a heads up. By the
yeah,
way,
yeah. It's just like, fuck it.
he just gets out the car and he's like so suave. He comes over. He's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
what's
I
up?"
mean, it works. They end up getting along, and
They bonk, dude.
yep, they have relations in the. They all
And
have
he's
always fucking outside, man. People always fucking outside this
yeah,
movie.
very Nate. It's like very what's the word?
Tree hugger, maybe I don't know.
Yeah, tree hugger, but also like primal.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
This movie's very
100%.
primal. I think
It's a primal film. I
for
think
better or worse.
you could argue there's like you could relate it to like doing like a industry versus environmentalism type thing because you have
Mm,
this evil landlord coming to take away this home from this woman who has rights to this place,
yeah,
and he's trying to get it by any means necessary, even as far as pretty much violating her, which one could relate it to like what landlords do
yeah,
in general, or what capitalism does in
yeah.
general. I feel like there's themes of that pretty much baked into this.
Yeah, I
There's
took
this
that
this
from it too.
subtext.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's subtext here. There's definitely subtext. I think.
Hmm.
Yeah,
About
even
big
from what I.
business buying like beautiful historical landmarks or areas or buildings, and then just completely butchering it and painting over it
Yeah,
and defiling it in the same way
yeah,
that this guy literally comes in and defiles her. He
yeah, and
defiles the property because he wants to just like buy it and not appreciating. And I guess also he doesn't appreciate the legacy and the history, and that ultimately leads to his demise because when the ghosts start haunting him and stuff because he's not
yeah,
appreciating that. Yeah, the
100%.
subtext here is
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I
Yeah.
also have to appreciate that. While I did not enjoy witnessing the essay scene
Hmm.
with Marilyn and Mr. Sardonia, it
Yeah.
was nice to see him get his comeuppance pretty much right after.
It's nearly like the next scene. Yeah, because I look. Yeah,
Yeah,
I had the scene where I'm like, oh no, Mr. Trenchcoat guy is about to do a bad thing,
yeah,
and then the next point is castration.
yeah. Which is pretty poetic in a way you
Yeah,
could say.
no,
Yeah,
yeah, which is good.
yeah. It was. It was. I'm glad
Justice.
there was some semblance of what do you call it? Yeah, I guess justice is the term because again, in the hands of a lesser director, you might not even have a scene to combat the
Mm.
previous one, uh,
Hmm.
which probably would leave a pretty sour taste in the mouth. And I can't blame anyone if this deters them from it because
No.
it's sensitive. But this is a yeah, there's a lot of thought I think in this film. Charles Pinion, I know he's into like Tarkovsky and Chantal Ackerman, so I'm sure those influenced it. And I think I don't know much about Giallo. I've only seen Suspiria, which
Mm.
is a genre I want to get more into. But I felt like there was some Giallo like elements, especially with the witch scenes, and like sometimes
Yeah.
it's be quite red, which I associate with
Mm.
Giallo. There's a lot to dig into. I think it's
Hmm.
very good film.
Yeah.
One of my favorites of the podcast so far, I'd say.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah, yeah. I think if I had to rank,
Yeah. And where did
I'm
you
gonna go
see it for
with
the first time?
pardon, sorry.
When was the first time you saw it?
Probably like a week ago now.
Yeah. Okay. So you
I
didn't
thought
know
it was,
anything about it going into this. Like it's not
no,
like
no,
a
no.
film you already seen that you wanted to bring to the pod. You were just like, I really want to watch this
Yeah,
film. Yeah.
I've been told by someone like a while back that I should watch it, and I've already seen Twisted Dishes, and I thought, oh, this seems like an interesting one to go into, kind of blind.
Yeah. Well,
And
this is
this,
why what we're doing is so cool. It's like it's giving you that
yeah,
opportunity to watch that film.
yeah, I have excuses to like watch stuff I've been meaning to
And
watch and haven't.
I've noticed since we started doing this that like when you watch a film, you kind of ingest it, and you might like talk about it briefly afterwards. But
Yeah,
then when you know you have to talk about it down the line, like so we watch a film and then 3 days later we're gonna sit and do this. When you know that's coming, you digest it in a different way, man.
yeah,
Because you're making notes and you're thinking about it more, and then you're sitting on it for 3 days, and then you come here and it's like the films we've watched. If I would have watched the films that we've watched on this without this, I feel like I wouldn't have liked them as much.
yeah,
Do you know
absolutely.
what I mean?
Yeah, it's
With the
good to,
exception of Smile 2.
yeah,
I was gonna like that shit no matter what.
go to franchise.
But yeah,
Yeah,
no, I like this one. All in all, I liked it. Not my cup of tea, but that's okay. You can't. I can still see why it's like really good to a lot of people.
yeah, yeah. I'm glad I've seen it. I'm glad we've talked about it. I think it's good to give a little context to such films like this, which people might write off as shock value or sleazy
Yeah,
or whatever.
and also it's like give
Uh,
them a chance. Like
yeah, I think
I wouldn't have watched this otherwise, right?
yeah, absolutely. It's good to bring attention to these again, and I think Charles Pinion is pretty interesting director, and he seems like an interesting fella.
Hmm.
And it's these it'll I hope these films just don't get lost in time to like
Yeah, because I guess they're not big money makers.
yeah, and I'm glad this got released by Vinegar Syndrome that you can buy it on physical media because
Nice.
such films like this is like kind of the only way to keep them going. And Mr. Pinion, I think you cooked, man. Uh,
You cooked.
you
Come
won
on the
the
podcast,
TikTok.
bro.
Come on, bro, and you can win
Yeah,
the TikTok Riz party.
yeah. That's wouldn't that be cool? Get him on. He can like tell us about that movie.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to him. I'm sure I would love to talk to him about Tarkovsky and Chantal Ackerman and punk rock.
Just all your favorite things.
Yeah. Beans out!